Liya shot the Bakunawa out of the sky. She saw it fall. But where is the body? Falling felt like drowning in fire. Lakan had been shot from the sky before, by arrows, spears, and once even a ballista in the Western wars. But those had glanced off scales or lodged in muscle. Painful, yes, but manageable. This was different. The arrow had buried itself in the soft hollow beneath his jaw, one of the few vulnerable points on a dragon's body. Poison burned through his veins. His wings faltered. The world pitched violently sideways. He was falling. For the first time in nearly 1,000 years, Lakan had been downed. By a female. By her. The thought cut through the haze, sharp enough to almost draw a laugh from him. Of course. Annoyance flared first, then disbelief, then, damn it, reluctant awe. Even as his vision blurred, the image burned behind his eyes, her silhouette against the moon, bow drawn, fury etched into every line of her body as she loosed the arrow. No fear, no hesitation, only purpose. She had been magnificent, a girl on fire. His...
No.
He snarled inwardly, forcing the thought back.
Not ours. She wants us dead.
His dragon stared, restless and aching, displeased yet unmistakably intrigued. Darkness crept in at the edges of his vision. And then, the fireflies came. They surged from the forest like a storm of living embers. One moment he was plummeting toward jagged rocks and crashing waves. Next, he was swallowed by light. Ali felt it the instant Lakan's massive body tore through the clouds. The rupture in the air, the wrongness of it, the scream of ancient magic snapping violently out of alignment.
No, that arrow should not have done this.
Even poisoned, even moon-blessed, no single strike should have downed the most powerful Bakunawa alive. Lakan had survived wars between gods. He had flown through celestial fire. He had endured the fall itself.
This was not simple magic.
Ali thought grimly.
Something bigger is at play. Lakan!
Ali's mental voice cut through the haze.
Shift, now!
Lakan barely managed it. The transformation rippled through him, wings dissolving, scales receding, his vast form compressing into something human-sized and dangerously fragile. A handful of scales scattered as he shifted, falling like black and gold coins into the sea.
Formation 7!
Ali commanded, his voice sharp, despite the panic clawing at him.
Contain the fall! Break impact! Now!
The fireflies moved as one, tightening and wrapping around Lakan's body in spiraling rings of light, layer upon layer of burning gold and white, slowing his descent, fracturing gravity's pull with impossible precision. To the people on the shore, it looked as if the dragon had become a falling star, a miracle, or an omen. Below, the Daughters of the Moon charged into the kagubatan, weapons drawn, anting-anting glowing faintly against the dark. Torches cut through the forest as the tribes followed, spread out, weapons drawn.
It fell here,
Liya said for the third time, frustration tightening her chest.
I saw it.
She tipped her face toward the moon, bow still clenched in her hand. She hadn't imagined it. She had felt the arrow strike true.
How does something that big just vanish?
Yumi muttered, eyes sweeping through the trees.
Maybe it turned into smoke.
Hannah said.
Or maybe it didn't fall. Maybe it flew away.
Sora suggested.
I saw it drop.
Liya insisted, scanning the canopy.
It fell right here, somewhere.
They pushed deeper into the forest. Still nothing. No shattered branches. No scorched earth. No body. No dragon.
This doesn't make sense. We should have found something.
Luningning muttered, kicking at leaves.
Who are we looking for?
Liya spun. Yantok raced. 2 balls of fire bobbed cheerfully into view. Kayu and Kaya, flickering with barely contained curiosity.
The Bakunawa.
Amaya said, exasperated.
Have you seen it?
The what now?
Kayu's flame dimmed.
The dragon.
Liya clarified.
Black and gold. Massive. Fell from the sky about...
Dragon? Oh no! Absolutely not! We do not do dragons!
We're more of a light the way, tell some jokes, maybe scare a farmer kind of spirit. Dragons are definitely a runaway screaming situation.
Kaya grabbed Kayu's arm.
We should go. Yes, immediately.
They zipped upward so fast they left streaks of sparks behind them, their voices fading into the canopy.
Nice knowing you! Don't get eaten!
Silence reclaimed the clearing.
Well, that was helpful.
Elena said. Liya scowled into the trees, unease tightening its grip.
Spread out.
She ordered.
Search wider. Look for blood, tracks, anything.
The daughters melted back into the forest. Deep in a hidden clearing, the fireflies lowered Lakan carefully onto moss-soft ground. Ali touched down beside him in human form, already assessing the wound. Footsteps crashed through the underbrush. Heavy, familiar. Ala burst into the clearing, breathing hard, trying and failing to appear calm.
Is he... He's alive. For now.
For now? What do you mean for now?
The poison is wrong. I can slow it, but he needs proper healing.
Ali's eyes gleamed.
Or I could take him back to his family now. He's weak, easy to transport. Absolutely not.
Both immortals jumped. Lakan cracked one eye open, glaring.
I'm not dead. I can still hear you. You look dead.
Alab muttered.
Charming.
Lakan tried to sit up, failed, swore.
I'm not going back. Not yet.
Your Highness,
Ali said carefully.
you can barely move. The poison.
We'll pass. Stubborn dragon.
Alab said, already scanning the forest.
I hear voices. The daughters are searching.
Let them.
Ali said.
They're hunting a dragon, not a man.
Still,
Alab looked up at the canopy.
I'll keep watch.
In a blink, he'd vanished into the trees, silent as smoke. Ali hesitated, then sighed.
This is a terrible idea.
He knelt beside Lakan.
Stay still. This will hurt.
Everything already hurts.
Ali placed his mouth over the puncture wound and began drawing out the poison, a combination of suction and magic that worked faster than spells alone. The taste was bitter, unnatural, and laced with moon magic, definitely meant to kill. Color slowly returned to Lakan's skin, the trembling in his limbs eased. Then, a voice cut through the clearing like a blade.
Vampire!
A spear slammed into the ground inches from Ali's knee.
Release him!
Ali's wing snapped out as he shrank mid-air, hovering at eye level, eyes wide. 7 women stood at the clearing's edge. At their center, Yantok raised, gaze blazing, stood Liya.
What are you, Pixie?
Ali bristled.
I'm Ollie Tap Tap of the Firefly race.
Recognition flickered, then wariness. A firefly. She'd seen him shift, which meant he was royal. Which meant he was dangerous. Because firefly royals didn't stay dead. They were always reborn. Immortal soldiers with the gods' favor. Ruthless. Powerful. Her hand moved to her anting-anting. At least, his magic couldn't touch her.
Leave this human alone. You have no right to hurt him.
Something warm unfurled in Lacan's chest.
She's protecting me.
The absurdity of it should have made him laugh. He was one of the strongest creatures on earth. He'd never needed protection, never expected it. When he'd been bullied as a youngling after the fall, taunted, shunned, blamed for his father's sins, no one had stepped in. Not his family, not the court. Dragons didn't cuddle, they expected strength. And he'd become strong. But this fierce mortal woman, standing between him and perceived danger, ready to fight a royal firefly to protect a stranger. It shouldn't have mattered. It did. Ali tensed, ready to fight. Lacan sent a sharp thought toward him.
Leave me, for now. They're daughters of the moon. Their tribe has what I need. I'm going with them.
Ali's wings stilled.
You're not completely healed yet. I'm not going back without my heart scale.
Ali's wings flickered, the firefly equivalent of a stubborn frown. Lacan sighed mentally.
Give me 3 nights. I'll be ready then.
A pause. Then,
As you wish.
Lacan turned his head, slowly because everything still hurt, and looked at Liya.
The firefly meant no harm. He was healing me.
Suspicion flickered across her face.
An immortal helping a human? Unheard of.
He's a friend.
Lacan continued, the lie of emission sitting uncomfortably in his chest.
His swarm lives near my home.
Liya studied him, then Ali, assessing. Finally, she lowered her yantok slightly.
If you say so.
She gestured to her sisters.
Stand down.
The women relaxed, though their hands stayed near their weapons. Ali, still in firefly form, shot Lacan one last look, eyes full of judgment, then zipped upward. Within seconds, his battalion had materialized from the trees, forming a glittering cloud around him.
The fireflies like you.
Liya observed, and Lacan couldn't tell if she was impressed or suspicious. Probably both. He managed a weak smile.
They're easily bribed.
The fireflies dispersed into the night like scattered stars, and Liya's attention returned fully to him. Lacan's awareness narrowed. Just her. The way she moved. Economical. Graceful. Dangerous. The way firelight from a distant sister's torch caught in her dark eyes. The set of her jaw. The curve of her mouth. The constellation of small scars on her arms that spoke of years of training. Strong, powerful, unflinching.
Perfect.
His dragon purred.
Stop it.
One of the sisters stepped closer.
What happened to you? That wound.
Bee sting.
Several women exchanged skeptical glances. One snorted. Liya moved closer, and Lacan's pulse kicked despite the poison, despite the pain. She knelt in front of him, bringing them eye to eye, and he caught her scent, sampaguita and steel, forest strain, and something indefinably her. His chest tightened. He'd seen her from a distance before, watched her train, fight, and move through the world like a living flame. But up close, she was devastating.
I'm Lakan.
he said, choosing his words carefully.
Adayo.
His home was in the deepest part of the ocean after all. He was practically a foreigner to these islands.
I'm a scholar of sorts.
Not entirely a lie. He'd spent centuries studying curses, searching for answers, and traveling the world. He'd settled near Mount Mayari precisely to seek knowledge.
A scholar?
Is that so hard to believe?
You don't look like a scholar.
What do I look like?
Her eyes traveled over him, his broad shoulders, the tattoos marking his chest and arms, and the way he held himself, even injured.
A warrior.
I've been both.
Something flickered in her gaze. Interest, maybe, or recognition of a kindred spirit.
And you are?
He asked, even though he knew. She studied him with unnerving intensity.
Liya, of Tribu Mayari. These are my sisters.
The other women murmured greetings, but Lakan barely heard them.
Liya.
The name settled in his chest like a promise. Her anting-anting pulsed warmly against her skin. He could sense it. The moon magic designed to mute immortal power. It pressed against his shields, testing, searching. Normally, he could deflect such things easily. Not tonight, not weekend like this.
You're still bleeding.
Liya said, eyes on his neck. She leaned closer to examine the wound, and Lakan forgot how to breathe. She was so close now he could see the flecks of gold in her dark eyes, the faint flush on her cheeks, and the way her lips parted slightly as she concentrated. Her fingers brushed his jaw, gentle, clinical, and heat shot through him. Her anting-anting flared brighter, then, oddly, faded. Confusion flickered across Liya's face. Her hand lingered a moment longer than necessary before she pulled back.
We should treat that properly. We have a healer at our mountain. You should come with.
The world tilted. Lakan's vision grayed at the edges. He heard Liya's sharp intake of breath, felt her hands catch him as he fell.
Lakan? Lakan?
Her voice sounded far away. Distantly, he heard her speak again, commanding, decisive, brooking no argument.
Let's take him. He's mine.
With Liya's claim, something shifted, something irrevocable. The moon watched, and somewhere deep in the forest, destiny smiled.